Welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today I'm playing Legacy, and this video is brought to you by Patreon subscriber Claire. And as with every day this week, I am using my releases to hype the Tolarian Community College annual fundraiser for Trans Lifeline. Today is Tuesday, February 3rd. Tomorrow, Wednesday, February 4th, and then the 5th and the 6th, Thursday, Friday. That is the length of the drive. This is just hype for now. Go bookmark Tolarian Community College, get your dollars ready, get ready to support. Last year, they raised almost $600,000. I'm sure we can do even better this year. Magic community is great at showing up for causes, especially at a time where a lot of people who just want to live their life and be left alone are being put in the center of a bunch of stuff that nobody signed up for and is not useful to anyone. Check the video description for all the details how to get involved in this fundraiser. With that, today's deck is what I'm calling Tempo Blink. This is the Phelia Quantum Riddler control core that is not a stranger to anyone who's played Legacy at all in the last 6 months. However, what's pretty different about this deck from the deck that I registered at Magic Con, I think it was Atlanta. I top-aided the Magic Cup in Atlanta with Blue-White Phelia Blink. But I was a control deck, and this is a tempo deck. And that is defined by the 4 Wastelands and the 3 Dazes. This deck is trying to get low for Stifles as well. It's trying to beat up the opponent's mana, keep them under Daze range while they scam out Phelia with Quantum Riddler and take over when everyone has low resources. Versions of this deck I've played previously on the channel were more like control decks, where they wanted to go 1-for-1 all through the early game, playing out a bunch of basic lands. The deck had like back to basics in it instead of Wasteland, and it tried to take over with the Quantum Riddler setup in the super late game, mid game and super late game, and dominate from there. This deck wants to take an early advantage and keep it, although it is playing many of the same cards. I'm not going to spend too much time talking about this because I've already talked about this deck at length in multiple other videos, and the differences are clear here. We're getting low to the ground instead. Let's go do this. Trans rights. It's Legacy time. I'm on the draw in round 1 versus Rick Hardpack, who is a member of the BoshNRoll community who tends to favor tempo decks. I don't think I'm going to be able to catch him with this Stifle being on the draw, and opponent had just a regular land anyway. I'm getting Thought Seized. I have 2 threats, 1 Brainstorm, and 1 card that I would be surprised if it gets taken. Okay, Brainstorm. So rather than fight over the things that are face up in my hand, opponent has chosen to lock in the things that are in my hand in a way that I can't change them. I assume this Tamiyo will be dazed or killed because opponent didn't fight over it, but I'm still going to play it out. And I can Stifle to keep Quantum Riddler on turn 3 here. Orcish Brewmasters, okay. That slows down Tamiyo a little bit. Ugh. Did not want to draw this card. I wanted to fetch for it next turn. I'll just leave it in my hand and pretend it's not there. Okay, start banking. Clues. I play removal. This Bowmaster won't last forever. Kaito's ninjutsu ability is something you can Stifle. If my opponent just pushes here, I get to delete a creature. Oh, we've got Big Barrel Boys. Hashtag Big Barrel Boys. I am going to fetch a basic land and draw a card. I got bigger problems than an orc army right now, and I would like to solve them. Okay, I could spin the wheels looking for Swords to Plowshares here, or I could just scam in Quantum Riddler. And those things might end up being the same thing, so I will play Quantum Riddler. I can also flip Tamiyo here if I'd rather ponder. But flipping Tamiyo doesn't really solve the problem I'm in. Phelia. Potentially someday useful. Okay, I'm going to attack with Tamiyo, and I'm going to Stifle the Warp Trigger in the end step. I kind of expect this to be fought over, but I've already drawn a card, so it's not like I'm losing the card, but I am getting run over here. And this is the blue-white problem, where if I have a white spell, I'm in good shape, but my blue spells are very bad against what they're doing. Also play draw in a tempo matchup, Thoughtseize versus non-Thoughtseize. There's a lot of dynamics that are common to these sort of matchups that are running right now. I decided to push the extra damage on Bowmaster rather than see what Barogoyf rolls over, which turned out to be a good choice because it was nothing. Wasteland, and I'm basically dead at this point. Oh yeah, cooked. Alright. To the sideboard we go. Celestial Purge hits a lot of their important cards. Prismatic Ending, just more removal. I'm going to be cutting Force of Negation and probably all of the Force of Wills. Luster Storm can hit stuff like Fatal Push and Thoughtseize. I'm into that. Wrath of the Skies is very expensive to use because I don't have any other passive sources of energy. I think I want to cut a Consign to Memory here too, though that is just more scamming. And Consign to Memory turns Phelia into a removal spell. So does Containment Priest though, and Containment Priest can block Orcish Bowmaster, but that also turns off me flickering my stuff. Yeah, I guess I'm just going 4 white spells in and a cheaper blue spell. And otherwise, same shit. Okay, keep. The old Stifle versus Tamiyo situation. I am going to hold up Stifle because there is a range of hands that this just obliterates. Or I can get my ass Thoughtseized. That's always the risk, you know, and my opponent, having seen Stifle game 1, knows to play around it here. But did not know to play around Wasteland, as you need fetch lands usually to find your basics. And I guess we'll see how many lands opponent can play this game directly from the hand. Okay, that counts. A Tundra. I'll play Flooded Strand because opponent hasn't seen the Tundra yet. Opponent doesn't know about the second Tamiyo or the Tundra. Well, now opponent knows about all of it, but I've stuck a Tamiyo, so we're good. Had to use Thoughtseize on Stifle to develop mana. I'm actually happy with that exchange. Your own Tamiyo. I'm going to get my Meticulous Archive. Ponder. That can flip my Tamiyo. Attack first. And I'm going to cast Ponder. Ooh, that's a lot of Teferis. I don't mind a Teferi, not one bit. Get Tamiyo going. This is pretty weak to Kaito, but my deck is weak to Kaito. What do you want me to do about it? The control build was better against Kaito because it had a bunch of dress downs in it that could turn off Kaito's hexproof and you could actually fight that card. But that was built for a different metagame than this one. The control build was for the Reanimator Nadu meta. Big Barrow. Okay, I can minus Tamiyo, looking for the juice here, or I could ram straight into Daze, which I'm not excited about, but I'm also not excited about getting hit by Barogoyf. All right, I'm going to risk it for the Biscuit here. Biscuit received, bounced Barogoyf, plus Tamiyo, found a Plow, start to turn this one around. I love playing with Teferi Time Reveler. This card is so nice. Thoughtseize, okay. I suspect I'll lose the Plow here, but Tamiyo can pick it back up. Wasteland? Wasteland can't cast Barogoyf and deny me mana. It's one or the other. Barogoyf's back. Okay, big moves here. Plus this Teferi. Now I have to make real decisions. Whether I want to go for it or remove. I think the answer is go for it. I have Tamiyo and Phelia that can both block Barogoyf, and then next turn I just win. I even have a second Planeswalker, so I'm playing around Shoulder's Edict. Kaito gets me here, but it doesn't have to. I could play Phelia and block. They're both attacking Tamiyo. How bad is Kaito? Tamiyo goes smaller. Oh, I have Stifle. I don't care. Figured it out. Okay, block with Tamiyo. Tamiyo's dead. Other Tamiyo's still alive. Important Tamiyo's still alive. And Brazen Borrower is a card I'm a little worried about right now. Cracking a Clue. I can even beat Bowmaster, because if they use their last 2 mana for that, I can play Phelia, attack, blink out the Bowmaster, draw my deck, and then finish it off. Alright. Phelia, cast that. Wasting me again. Okay, seems like opponent wants to play against half my deck. Just grinding it out. Ultimate Tamiyo. Is there a Plains and a Plow in this selection of cards? There is Plains, there's not Plow. Oh, there's kind of Plow. I can stifle the return Phelia trigger. Okay, plus Teferi. Is my actual planes in here? Can I still fetch it? Looks like I can still fetch it. Though I don't want actual planes. Right, the window to planes has passed. Okay. I'll just play out Tundra. I can do basically everything at instant speed. Attack, flicker out, Begoif. Oh, this should have been Caracas. I'm a mess right now. What am I doing? End step trigger, consign to memory, and I can exile Tamiyo whenever I want. Beginning of combat, I can stifle a Kaito trigger, or Kaito activation, not a trigger. Ponder. Okay, so if I'm gonna, or I can exile Planeswalker Tamiyo. It doesn't actually matter. Didn't shuffle. Another Ponder. Okay, I'm gonna end Tamiyo now while this trigger is on the stack, the flip trigger. They can't crack a clue to flip her again. My dazes are nice here. Another Tamiyo, sure. Okay, draw for turn. Plus Teferi. Plus Tamiyo. A Wrath of the Skies for 1 here kills all of their non-land permanents and nothing that belongs to me. I could also bounce Tamiyo with Caracas and start flickering clues out. I could also just turn the corner with Riddler. That probably sounds the best to me. I'm going to bounce your Tamiyo. I'm going to warp Riddler. I do need to actually win the game somehow. They've had enough. Okay, now it's my turn to be on the draw again. Thoughtseize versus Swords to Plowshares, the classic tempo mirror, whose splash color will reign supreme. Supreme? Reign supreme. Bummer. Got a mulligan this one. That's not going anywhere I want to go. This one's got basic lands in it. I can cook. I'm going to keep, and I think Teferi is a later problem. Opponent also mulliganed. I'll take that. Tamiyo, don't like that. Caracas off the top, easy game. Not so much. Ponder. Okay, a number of removal spells that can target Tamiyo, and also access to basic planes. Phelia is there too. I don't think I can get basic planes and what I need to do here. Alright, I'm going to put Phelia in my hand and pass. With Prismatic Ending under it. Tamiyo, trigger, basic swamp. Thoughtseize, alright. This is why I hid Prismatic Ending, because that's the card that's really important here. Though it sucks to lose Phelia. Okay, that's great. Walked opponent straight into the trap. And my opponent can force back. I don't love this. What I really want to do is brainstorm so I can get basic planes and set up the rest of my game, but that opens up Daze in a matchup where my opponent may have boarded out Force of Will. Yeah, I can't turn Daze on here, which stinks, because I'd like to. Tundra ending. Okay, that's handled. I'm worried about Wasteland. I'm worried about Bowmaster. Okay, that's not Wasteland. Opponent is fetching for Barrowgoyf mana. I'm going to brainstorm now, see if I can spike a Daze. I did not, but I did spike a Plow. Deal. And I guess I'll go Riddler Phelia on top. Yeah, this is Plow plus Murktide. Those cards are both pretty good. Plow Begoyf. Murktide. Maximum size. Okay. Has a Daze after all. The important spell resolved. Okay, just pass to me. Caracas can protect my Phelia, which is awesome. I could also just warp Riddler right now and draw 2 cards off it. But I kind of want to scam. Bowmaster is a little bit disappointing. That makes Riddler worse, but I can still do Phelia stuff next turn. Wasteland, shit! We went for the Tundra. That's good news for me. I really want the Caracas. Boing. Just like we drew it up. And cracking a clue. Opponent was hellbent and just drew with clue. White sources are good for me if I can leave Caracas up. Ugh. Alright. I think I have to be doing Phelia stuff here. I don't want to feed this Orc army too much. Thoughtseize. Alright, well, I'll play Phelia, and then you can take one of my 2 Riddlers, and I hope the card in your hand is a blank and not Fatal Push. Attacking with Orc army. That is too suspicious. I'm not buying it. A Daze. That is the perfect draw. Right now I have a real decision to make of flicker out their Bowmaster or just send it If I send it, Phelia just dies though, so that doesn't even make sense. Okay. Yeah, I guess I have to just attack and flicker out their Bowmaster, which is pretty stupid because it'll just come back. Okay, exile Bowmaster, but I do need to draw some cards here. Warp in Riddler. It's good for a draw too. If opponent does have the Bowmaster, did not. Okay, I like Wasteland. I like Swords to Plowshares. This gets me back into a space that I'm more happy to exist inside. Okay, Bowmaster's back. I'm going to try to avoid playing into Daze here and putting Caracas down and losing to removal. I am ahead here, but it's tenuous. Damage done. B-Storm, you got it. My plan here is to plow the Bowmaster and flicker out the Orc army. I missed on a spell. Ponder, okay. Attack first. There's a pause, like there's a fatal push in the hand. There does appear to be a fatal push in the hand. I am going to plow Bowmaster right now, and then I'll know if I'm happy with my Daze or not. All right, here we go. Daze. Not going to be able to use that floating blue, but I am going to get the board empty. Oh, Snuff Out. Nice one. All right. Last card in hand was Snuff Out. So I got to go to my second main, cast Ponder, and start getting back in. Celestial Purge, Brainstorm, Consign to Memory. Consign sucks. Purge and Brainstorm both have a little bit of use to them. I'd rather have Brainstorm in my hand if opponent top deck Thoughtseize. So I have the Purge here for now. Tamiyo. All right, well, I have Caracas. I'm going to Brainstorm and try to get a little aggressive here. Punished pretty bad, actually. Consign and Wrath are back. And now I'm Brainstorm locked. I'm not taking any damage. Like, I'm taking 2 from this, but I can't purge that and answer Tamiyo in the same turn. So there has to be a spot where I decide which one is a bigger problem. Yeah, I guess I'm going to purge the Orc army. That sucks. Okay, my opponent has this turn to flip Tamiyo, but I can stifle the flip. Wasteland is devastating. They've only used 1 so far. Could also stifle the Clue activation. Thoughtseize, dang. Okay, one of these cards is gone. What are you more worried about? Wrath, sure. Consign. And I'll bounce Tamiyo. And hand is a bunch of bricks, but I am drawing a new card next turn. Wasteland, I will stifle that. Crack is very important here. Yeah, using the Wasteland to crack clues is probably a better use of your money. This is dope-ass Magic, by the way. Just 2 players with low resources, low life totals. Most of the tricks, most of what people are capable of is face up right now. I do think opponent is doing better than me right now, though. Okay. Not stifling that, because the Wasteland's way more important. Tamiyo. Ponder. That's 1 extra draw. Basic Plains. Hell yeah. Okay, bounce Tamiyo. Okay, now I can cast spells that I draw for the rest of the game, which was not a guarantee a moment ago. Now I need spells to cast. There is this Riddler hanging out over here. I haven't forgotten him. My own. Okay, I'm going to see if bouncing my opponent's works first. Okay. And I'll get mine out here. If they had brainstormed in response, I would have needed to consign the Tamiyo flip trigger while holding up Stifle for their Wasteland, which is why I left up the blue first. Okay, well, we've been dancing around this for like 20 turns, so what did you find? Mystical Dispute, that makes sense, okay. All right, now we're in a mutual Tamiyo game where I don't have Caracas anymore, but I did come up with a Tamiyo. Okay, that is almost useful. Would I rather draw Swords to Plowshares or some type of cantrip? And I'd rather draw Plow, but I think a cantrip is more likely. Okay, okay. We're gaming. My boy Quantum Riddler is back in the mix here. Though so is Kaito. Brutal. Alright, I do not have a Stifle right now for this. And I've used my Celestial Purge, but I do have in my hand the card Mystic Sanctuary and the ability to draw an extra card next turn. You can stifle Kaito, you cannot consign it. Oh no, that sucks. Well, now I can't draw a card. A Meticulous Archive. I need this to be a cantrip. Stifle, too late for that one. Alright. Well, a little short. I guess I will put my Celestial Purge on top, cast my Quantum Riddler, and hope my opponent forgets that Kaito has a middle ability. This was an awesome game. Alright, had the days anyway. GG's. On to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is brought to you by Tales of Adventure. TOAMagic.com has almost 100,000 unique cards in stock. They offer free track shipping on every order, plus next day or 2-day options when you have an event coming up fast. They offer on-site pickup at major Magic events throughout the US, so you're never scrambling before your tournament. Stop by their booth to buy, sell, or trade at upcoming regional championships, Magic Con, Spotlight Series, and more. I love their selection of individually scanned high-end cards that show you exactly what you're buying. And the best part is saving 5% on every order with promo code BOSH. From Ancestral Recall to Zombie Master, get what you need quickly and in one place at TOAMagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the play in round 2. I'm going to keep. We've got a Aggro Tameo start. I'm going to fetch Basic Island because my hand plays on that pretty well. Off you go. Misty Rainforest. I'm going to attack with Tameo. And then I'm probably going to play Ponder. Force of Negation, Riddler, another Wasteland. I think what I'm going to do here is draw Quantum Riddler and dump Force of Negation. I can scam Riddler in next turn, unless I need to force something this turn. But what's cool about this open is I don't really look like a traditional Wasteland deck. And if opponent is dialed into recent tournament results, they might know there are some blue-white Tameo decks with Wasteland and Daze kicking around. But if they're familiar with my work and previous versions of this deck, they might not know that. Basic Forest next to Misty. No Beanstalk on the stack. Okay, I'm going to attack with Tameo. And I think my plan here is to warp Quantum Riddler, and then depending on what I draw, I'll make a decision about whether I'm going to consign it or just let it go. Okay, any blue card was good enough for me to scam the warp. Now I still have Force blue card. Ooh, a fight. Oh, a hedge maze. I suspect that my opponent is doing some kind of show and tell shit. Whether it's the Aloran build, which I am planning on playing this week. I wanted to wait until the drive was officially running, because this deck is awesome. Yeah, just a little main deck Veil of Summer. Cook my life. Right, I'll put in Wasteland. You have an Omniscience. I suspect your card is better than mine. Yep, Emrakul will do. Alright. This is a deck. Emrakul is not in the other build that I was just talking about, though, the Aloran hybrid. So this is a different thing. Omnishow is the deck, or one of the decks, that convinced me not to play this deck at Eternal Weekend. As it's just the interaction that you have, the axes you're working on, just don't really line up with anything Omnishow cares about. And of course, Daze and Wasteland could change that. That could be the sauce we're looking for. I should probably have some Containment Priests in, just in case opponent Raw Dogs Emrakul without the help of Omniscience. But where do I even put that? Take out some Consigned Memories, maybe? Yeah, alright. Don't love this matchup. This hand is fine, I will keep it. I'm going to go Tundra Tameo on turn 1. I would really like a Lavinia in play, but developing with Tameo is pretty nice too, if I am missed on the land. The other option from, instead of Tundra Tameo, I could go Meticulous Archive, try to hit the second land, get Lavinia going. But Tameo is pretty nice too. Flooded Strand. Fetching this time. This land doesn't cast Carpet of Flowers, that's good news. Did not shuffle their Ponder. We are not in business on Lavinia. We are in business on cracking a clue or casting Phelia, either of which could be useful. And the Flusterstorm is here if they just ram it. I feel like cracking a clue is more useful than Phelia on this board, though I mean, Phelia does damage, which nothing else in my deck really does. But hitting my next land Teferi and Lavinia are both big deals. Yeah, I'm going to draw a card if I don't have to use my Flusterstorm. There it is. There's that Carpet of Flowers, my arch nemesis. Waste my Tundra. Deny that. What do we think, team? Is that a good play? End step, crack the clue. Another Tamiyo. A land, kind of. It's really the perfect land because it doesn't help me at all, but it does send my opponent's carpet even higher into the sky. So really just an excellent draw there. But I do have to play it out. And opponent can now show and tell with Veil Protection, or even just with a land pay for the Fluster. Okay, Flusterstorm and Veil even beats Lavinia. Please force this. Like, force one copy, then pay for the other. And then you show and tell I put in Lavinia and your Omniscience doesn't work. That would be one way for me to get out of this. Okay. Or show and tell's just countered. We take those too. I'm not too picky. A Stifle. I'm not super interested in that. Attack with Tamiyo. Opponent did not play a land last turn, which is interesting. I guess I'm going to go to Fairy here, because that turns off Veil in a way that's actually useful to me. Okay, Forest Pitching Born Upon a Wind. All right. If opponent does not have Veil, which I don't think they do, because I think they would have used it last turn. If they have Show and Tell for Omniscience, Lavinia plays. If they have Show and Tell for Emrakul, Teferi plays. Force just pitched Born Upon a Wind. If they put in a Traxa, that one would be pretty annoying. Okay, Show and Tell is going to resolve. Lavinia versus Omniscience. Oh shit. That one can't be countered. All right. Well, if they just have it all, you got me. All right, GG's. I needed one of these things to be true, but both was too much. On to the next round.
This video is sponsored by Moxfield.com, the easiest way to build Magic decks online. Moxfield supports over 30 formats, including Legacy and everything else you'll see on this channel. There's multiple customizations so you can interact with your deck how you want. Views such as text, grid, or stacks, and groupings like type, subtype, color, color identity, even artist. The site offers light mode, dark mode, and so much more. However you want to see your deck, Moxfield can provide it for you. Follow my Moxfield to keep up with the channel and what I'm playing in paper. I'll see you there.
I'm on the draw in round 3 with the anti-Oops All Spells hand, but I don't know if that's what my opponent's doing, so I will mulligan to this other hand with more normal cards in it. Ooh, okay. Versus Tower. I'm going to be pondering looking for Wastelands here. The Force of Will might be good enough. All right. I can force and daze something this turn. If they are the Mystic Forge deck, that could buy me a lot of time. If this is the Cloud Post deck, I could be in a bunch of trouble. Okay, well, I don't love setting myself back mana, but I do love countering the One Ring. I draw Teferi here, and then I have this land that can get Meticulous Archive as I work my way back up to try not to be dead. Okay, this is the full Cloud Post special, and opponent is showing Tishana's Tidebinder mana. I really hope they don't have that card. Okay, cool. Got away with it. Brainstorm. Nobody got time for that. I already have a Brainstorm in my hand. A B-Storm. Please, deck. All right. No shuffles here. I could scam out a Riddler next turn, or I could stifle something this turn. The top of my deck is all lands coming for the foreseeable future. Hardcast Once Upon a Time. Well, we know what they drew last turn. Found Glimmer Post off of that. Played Basic Forest instead. I recently played a Modern League where Sowing Mycospawn is still legal, and boy am I glad that we can't do that in Legacy anymore. Ice Till Explorer. Huh. I mean, that dies to Swords to Plowshares, so I can take my chances on that one. Planar Nexus, Mills Ugin, and those are their land drops for the turn. Island, Plow, hold up my handful of interaction. They got an extra land drop out of that. Found a Planar Nexus, but that was pretty chill. I have Ugin. Nobody's ever beaten that card. I think I have to warp Riddler here, and I have to hope it draws Wasteland exactly. It did. That's good news. Okay, so 3, 4, 5, 6. 7, 8. If I play Wasteland, or there's another post, so it's 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I'm thinking if I can stifle in this Quantum Riddler, or if I need to stifle Ayavugan and waste the tower, or can I just waste the tower? End step, trigger. All right, I'm rolling the dice here. Yeah, unfortunately, there is no way to stack this where they don't know I have Wasteland. I know one of their 3 cards in hand, and I'm about to know another one. I mean, Cloud Post is worth more mana on this board than Urza's Tower, so I should do that. It's 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, yeah. I'm going to Wasteland Cloud Post. I can Force of Will a crop rotation. I guess doing this in the upkeep, but then they could have. All right, I'm going to force that. Okay, this is very ugly and scrappy now. Ayavugan, Nightmare card. Oh god, Yavimaya got them over perfectly. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Son of a biscuit. Yeah, just a land that nets 1 mana was what they needed there. I mean, an Ancient Tomb would have done it, a tower would have done it, but okay. Yikes. Consign to Memory looks good. Force of Negation, probably necessary. Swords to Plowshares, I did see targets, but I'm not that... I don't think that's the main thing we're worried about. Daze did find a target, but I still think it's bad. Lavinia is non-creature spells, but that does stop them from tapping out for gigantic Kozilek's commands or the One Ring a lot of the time. I am bringing in Surgical because I'm a Wasteland deck. Like, wasting a Cloud Post and ripping them out of the deck is actually kind of a plan. Yeah, I just think my opponent will play around Daze, and those are out. Do I want Flusterstorm? We've seen Crop Rotation. We suspect Kozilek's command. Is that better than Stifle? It might be. My opponent certainly won't be fetching. Okay, I'll try this. This is just the bad matchup brigade today. I will keep Island Ponder, baby. Ponder. I really like Force of Will and Wasteland. I really don't like that that's the end of the chain. I guess I am committed to this. I got another cantrip over here. It's fine. Planar Nexus. I'm going to play Wasteland and pass. And I'm going to waste in the upkeep. They usually lead on the one they have more than 1 copy of, which is a shame because this would be a great spot to Surgical. Yep. The guaranteed extra card off of Surgical Extraction, unable to be extracted from my opponent there. Brainstorm, don't fail me. Jesus Christ. Okay, I mean, bad matchups and running insanely bad is not a good combo. But I have looked at 13 cards in my deck without seeing another color source of mana. There are 20 lands in the deck. The old turn 3 once upon a time, just showing me how they don't even need to cast spells to beat me. Revealing a 3rd Planar Nexus. Yep, Surgical Extraction in shambles. Trinisphere. That's pretty mean, considering you know perfectly well I can't interact with that. Okay. I gotta ponder through some bad cards. Ponder, save me. An Island and a Meticulous Archive. Alright, I mean, shields are down, but I'm not doing anything else. I really needed last turn to be functional in any capacity, and it wasn't. Plow to the bin. Okay, nothing happened, which is kind of scary. Why didn't anything happen? I guess I'll play this Lavinia. That is the card that I partially kept my hand on the strength of. They cannot exile Lavinia with Kozilek's command here, because that would cost 4, and they only have 3 lands. Okay, now they have 4 lands. They can cast spells that cost up to 4, even though they have 8 mana. And it's non-creature spells if they have Ice Till Explore or whatever. Okay, Carpet of Flowers. Now you have 9 mana to cast 4 drops with. I'll just decline the activation. Let's go. Are you saying there's a chance? Attack. Brainstorm. There's a bunch of forces. Also a bunch of missed land drops. I guess Phelia and one of the Teferis can go on top. As this gives me force and the ability to draw into another force with my clue, or play Phelia if I don't need to do that. 11 mana here, cast Ulamog just fine. Decline the Carpet. This is 12 now. They do gain 3 life, not really under any kind of pressure here. End step Phelia. Okay, I get to do stuff. What stuff am I going to do? I think I want to play Teferi first, because that gives me something to flicker with Phelia for some amount of value. Bounce the carpet, plus Tamiyo, attack with my creatures, flicker out Teferi. It comes back at full loyalty, and Phelia gets larger. I wish I could force of will this carpet coming back, though. The carpet hasn't actually done anything yet this game. Oh, wait, where did... Oh, I bounced the carpet, never mind. Lost track of my own plays there for a second. Forest, carpet, this is the same amount of mana they had last turn. And we're not able to do anything with it. Let's hope that holds out. Second main, moment of truth. Still not making any mana. What could possibly be over there at this point? With 6 lands in play, they can cast their One Rings and everything just fine. Teferi, bounce carpet again. We'll just keep being annoying about that. And I will put Tamiyo on win the game watch notice. I'm going to crack a clue. Finding Wasteland now would be great. Stifle. That can counter various Eldrazi triggers. Like now Ulamog doesn't actually beat me. I can counter the Exile trigger and force the body. Emrakul, I could counter the extra turn trigger and then bounce the body. That's still a problem for the turn after. I could force this carpet, but my opponent has convinced me that that's not the fight I'm fighting right now, after just having it in play for 4 turns and not using it for anything. Ugin. Okay, so this is the same thing that I was just talking about as in Eldrazi. Stifle the Exile trigger, Force of Negation, the Planeswalker. Still have Force in my hand. They still have 6 mana to spend. 6 is a lot less than 15 or whatever, though. Is that true? Anyone in my comments know math better than me? Is 6 less than 15? Okay, I've drawn half my deck. There are multiple wastelands there. I bounce the Carpet of Flowers. Stifles, consigns, all sorts of goods here. I think at this point, it's better to go after towers than it is nexuses. Yeah, wow, I don't know what just happened. That was definitely the grace of the magic gods reaching into my opponent's deck, and whatever cards they drew for the entirety of that game were not good ones. I could bring in Prismatic Ending to respect Carpet of Flowers and things like Disruptor Flute. I really don't want to have Prismatic Ending in against a deck capable of hardcasting Emrakul. Alright, I'm not going to do that shit. Here we go. Same deck, run it back, hope for things to go extremely lucky in my direction again. Oh, I have the combo. No land, but alright. I am going to keep this and just hope that their deck doesn't work without Cloudpost in it, even though I know it does. Okay, Wasteland Cloudpost. I'm going to stop in their draw step and extract their Cloudposts. I wish that was Planar Nexus, not Cloudpost, but I will take what I can get. Okay, there's 2 towers. Lord of the Rings, ha 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 ha. And a Glimmer Post in there. Okay, Cloudposts are gone from your deck. We've got Stirrings, Besejus, Carpets, Crop Rotations, 1 Emrakul, 2 Ugins, 4 Trinispheres, 4 One Rings. Veil of Summer, yuck. Okay. Well, I hope I draw an island. Island, baby! Not today. Okay, go. I just need an island before they have this Ugin on the stack, basically. That's the scary spot for me. Island, 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 island. Got it. Easy game. Tundra, and I'm going to ponder on another land, which gets Phelia going, which gets Riddler going, and I can force my way along the path. Okay. We have an entire game plan here. A Glimmer Post. Here comes Trinisphere. And I think that Consign to Memory is my best weapon. So I'm going to go Force of Negation, pitching Force of Negation on this, keeping a grip of Consigns. Caracas, pass. All right, just don't draw Planar Nexus, and we'll get along just fine. They did not play out the forest, which is weird. All right, I mean, this is what we're here for. Scam it out. Make it happen. You've got Dismember, you've got Dismember. If you don't, I might have a chance. Okay, my things are just happening here. Planar Nexus is still a nightmare because I can force the Ugin, but they still get the exile trigger. And I currently don't have Consign up. I drew this Flooded Strand after the Ponder. All right, no Planar Nexus, fingers crossed. There's the Forest. Okay, Force of Will, pitching Flusterstorm. Leaving the Consigns in the bank, because I know what my problem is here. Okay, do I want to draw cards or inflict damage? I don't really have to choose. I could flip Tamiyo here, but that would cost me my Consigns. Okay, I'm going to play Tamiyo and flicker Tamiyo out to make Phelia bigger while pushing as much damage as I can. Damage is what matters here, not drawing cards. Because if they get over this Ulamog Ugin hump, it's not going to matter how many cards are in my hand, but if they run out of life points before that happens, that's good for me. Bajuka Bog got me. Yeah, my graveyard's gone. I'm going to Surveil. Ponder, no thanks. Move to Fairy. I don't want to tap out for this. Yeah, this is just attack with everything. Flicker out the Tamiyo again to push damage. They're dead next turn. I just need to not die also. I'm going to pass the turn with 2 Consigned Memories up, or 1 Consigned Memory for 3. Some combination of 2 Consigned Memories with a total of 3 mana is what I got here. Glimmer Post, oh no, 6. Okay, that doesn't change the clock. The One Ring. I'm going to counter that 1 time. We've seen Veil of Summer in their deck, but I could respond to Veil by countering it again. Did we do it? I know 2 of their 4 cards in hand are bad. Dismember deals as much damage as any of my creatures. Okay, and we got away with it. Sometimes if the deck is just full of air and a well-timed Wasteland, you can... And what was that, 3 or 4 different counterspells? 5 counterspells? However many that was. We did it. On the board. GG's opponent, on to the next round. The BoshNRoll channel is proudly partnered with the Resleevables. In this YouTube series, hosts Patrick Sullivan and Patrick Chapin go set by set through Magic's past, leveraging their decades of experience as Pro Tour players and game designers to analyze the good, the bad, and the ugly of Magic's history. Each episode is a deep dive into the facts, mechanics, cycles, trivia, decks of the time, and historical context of the set. The hosts dig into notable cards of the era and their lasting impact today. Each set gets an award show where the hosts pick their favorite cards for categories such as Best, Worst, and Weirdest. And finally, give a letter grade for the set's overall success. Whether you want a history lesson or a nostalgia hit, The Resleevables has it at youtube.com/TheResleevables. I'm on the play in round 4. I'm going to keep this hand. Not only is it Island Ponder keep, it's Stifle on the play, which is the place to snag a fetch land if you're ever going to do it. A swamp, my nemesis. Man, everyone doesn't want me to be stifling them. Every time I've had Stifle up on turn 1 in this league, my opponent has just Thoughtseize me. Bobble. Okay, I wonder if this is like a Moonshadow aggro deck. Who has Bobble, Basic Swamp, and Thoughtseize? I guess it could be a low to the ground build of Dimir Tempo. I'll take it to Fairy. If Dimir Tempo is running something like Nethergoyf, if they're on the Nethergoyf tech, this looks like the Moonshadow deck, though, that I played yesterday. If you missed that video, go find it. Okay, it is not that. That deck did not have Urza Saga in it, so I don't know what's going on. This might just be Black Saga Storm. Oh, Moonshadow, you are here. What's up? Okay, cool. It is a Moonshadow deck. I am not going to fight over the Shadow. I can take some hits from that thing and then bounce it with Teferi, and then it's littled again. I do want to Wasteland this Urza Saga before it does anything. It's going to grow Shadow when it dies, but that's the type of card that I'm very worried about when I'm this type of deck. Yeah, Moonshadow is a 7/7 that comes in with 6 counters on it, 6 -1 counters, and whenever a permanent goes into your graveyard from anywhere, it loses a -1 counter. That means if I counter one of their spells, that works. Nethergoyf's huge already. I am going to end step Brainstorm here because finding Swords to Plowshares plus land off this would be so nice. Or find just fucking nothing. Fucking nothing. All right. Well, Now I'm extremely concerned. I will put back this Consign to Memory and this Stifle. And I basically just have to cast Ponder, roll the dice on a shuffle, and hope I'm not dead. That was devastating. Okay, I found something useful. Tundra. Tundra could play Tameo, who can block bounce with Caracas. Keep this 5/6 off my back for a little bit. Fatal Push. I could bounce this, take 8, then I bounce Netherglyph on the next turn, and take at least 3 from Moonshadow. And I'm going to bounce this regardless. I guess the alternative was force that and then block bounce the Netherglyph. If I just force the Moonshadow, this game would be pretty trivial right now. Oh, all right. Snuff out in response. Yeah, this isn't really the game I'm playing anyway. 6/7 Netherglyph. Oh my god, I said it out loud. God damn it. Just can't get away. Okay, I'm going to bounce the Netherglyph. And now I'm drawing fresh cards again. I can Daze Netherglyph or Force on the way back down, but if they play that pre-combat, that does grow Moonshadow. But it's a 2-turn clock regardless. All right, Force pitching Consign to Memory. I'm about to go to 2. This Force costs a life and Shadow grows. All right, well, at least Daze works here without... I go to 1, but if I had to force that, I would be at 0, exactly. Okay, deck. What do you say, fella? Any of the white removal in the deck? Is it here for me? Oy, oy. Well, that was ugly. All right, well, this matchup should, I think, be pretty solid if I just don't get run over like that. All right, 7 cards in. Containment Priest is optional, but it is a blocker. Swords of Plowshares is great. Force of Negation sucks. Consign to Memory sucks. Stifle, pretty mid. I like all my lands. Teferi is probably fine. Force of Will, I think, is mid. I don't want a lot of that going on. Having a little bit might be important to protect an important interaction, but for the most part, I think that's pretty whack. And, all right, another Stifle's gone. All right, here we go. 7 white cards boarded in. Okay, I will keep this hand. I know it's a 1-lander, but by goodness, is it a good 1-lander? Moonshadow is here. I have to imagine my opponent plays Wasteland, but I also have to imagine I can't play around it because I need my colors to work. Meticulous Archive. Phelia into the graveyard. You hate to see it. Okay, gonna have to cast this Ponder. Surgical Extracting Phelia. Sure, you can have it. I'm gonna have to win on the slow now. Okay, Ponder. Looking for a land. Cycling Street Wraith in response. Okay. Wow, deck. All right, deck, you need to chill. Jesus. Okay. All right. Opponent even took 3 non-lands out of the deck for me. Yeah, if I have a land here, this Wasteland doesn't matter because I could stifle it. But now I'm in the trash. All right, it's fine. I just have to draw another land. If I draw a Plains here, we're actually still just fine. Jesus. All right, I'm not going to tilt concede, even though that's what I want to do. Fetch, this goes up. And this is a case, like, these aggro decks like this are really good at punishing any stumble and creating stumbles. They have both Thoughtseize and Wasteland to make your hand a little worse as they just push damage forward. And that's what they do. However, you know, if Ponder just finds Plains, this game is a joke. Okay. Good news, everyone. The game is a joke again. All right, exile your Moonshadow. All right, let's see if I can still win this game after all that. Probably not now. I had to fade 1 more 4-power creature here. Yep, I'm going to be 1 short. Yep, 1 turn short. Sure. GG's. On to the next round. That was a mess. I've been talking about, like, this whole league, bad matchup central. This has to be one of the best matchups I could ask for, and the deck just did not give me the ability to play the game at all. But that's Magic. I just beat an impossible matchup, and now I lost to a great one. On to the final round. We're a few rounds into the video. If you're still here and having fun, remember to hit that subscribe button. And if you want to play what I'm playing, use code BOSH for 5% off your order at toamagic.com. Eternal lives here. I'm on the draw in the final round. I'm going to keep my hand. I have Island and Blades. What could go wrong? Undercity Sewer. Echo of Eons in the dumper. Uh-oh. 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 And they're playing around Force of Will. That's so smart and handsome. Okay, I'm going to ponder. I didn't find a second force here. I'll shuffle this. I'm shuffling the ponder makes it look weak. And I'm trying to show weakness here because what I want is my opponent to shove into my Force of Will. So I suspect I'm going to get Thoughtseize and then echoed here. Or opponent's just playing on the super slow. Maybe they just weren't even ready for the echo and they were surprised when it showed up. I am not going to wasteland them here. I'm going to try to develop Phelia and get the scam going. Brainstorm resolves. Yeah, the strength of Phelia in these blue decks is that she does suddenly create a combat object that people got to think about. Oh, this is just the Epic Storm. All right, so they might be sculpting for a Veil of Summer here, which good news they do have. But also good news, my deck plays Stifle and Consign in the main, so I'm not even necessarily iced here. Dark Ritual. I have 6 good draws left in my deck. Okay, Echo happens. 2 Stifles. Let's go. LED. 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 Mox Opal. Let's see a Burning Wish all in for Tendrils. Burning Wish. Dumping an Echo in response. They might... Though Thoughtseizing me doesn't make any sense if they're just gonna Echo again. Beseech the Mirror. Beseech for Beseech. Kind of sucks that they found an Echo here in the hand because now when I stifle this, they could just Echo and we go again. Okay, I'm at 18. Storm is 12. There's still an Echo. There's still 6 Stifles in my deck. All right, there's 2 in my hand. Game on. I'm even resilient to Thoughtseize. But there is stuff the Epic Storm can do if they suspect Stifles and Consigns. They can win with Approach of the Second Sun, that kind of thing. They could make a bunch of creatures, but Stifle should stop those lines as well. Petal, Opal. And are they passing the turn? Are we done? Okay, I'm getting a turn. Daze. All right, I'm going to Brainstorm. I'm going to get at least Meticulous Archive back into my deck. And Swords to Plowshare is back into the deck as well. Play Tundra. And I think it behooves me to leave up Stifle and Consign more than it helps me to play out Tamiyo right now. Chrome Mox. Exile Gamble. Okay, so 2 Echoes and a Burning Wish were spent on that unsuccessful send, and the Tendrils that lives in their sideboard is now floating around in their deck somewhere. If they get the Song of Creation, I'm pretty cooked, as my hand does not interact with that. Burning Wish, 2 black floating, empty the Warrens. Oh, Stifle works here too. They'll have 2 Goblins. I think I'd rather Consign, because Stifle can hit fetch lands and stuff too. Okay. Gobblerinos. And I'm actually going to plow one in the end step, bounce the other one with Teferi. Rather than get Meticulous Archive, I'll just use this card that will have basically no other utility. I could also play Tamiyo, which blocks it, or Tamiyo plus Brainstorm, which blanks it. Yeah, that's better. I should not have played my land. That was a mess up. Okay, hide Tamiyo and Teferi on top. I would love to play this Murktide, but I can't tap out of Stifle. Beseech the Mirror. That's going to resolve. I can actually beat Veil here because I have Force and Daze. Okay, I have to pitch the Murktide because I need Daze to beat Veil. Oh my god. What do you get for the man who has it all? Now Song is in exile. That can't be wheeled back into the deck. This deck certainly has a lot of tools against Storm. Yes, attack for 0. Come get me. Okay, Teferi. I'm going to play Teferi and bounce Chrome Mox because I don't care about the Goblin, and denying them mana actually could matter. They Stifle still up in case they find another send. Fetch land, I could stifle that. Hand tapped out. Look at that. Turns out having 6 Stifles in your main deck is good against the Epic Storm. I'm going to bring in Stony Silence, Lavinia, Wrath of the Skies, Flusterstorm, another Consign, Hydroblast, Force of Negation, maybe Surgical, though that one's mid. What are my answers to Hexing Squelcher if I cut all my plows. I still have... I'm bringing in Wrath of the Skies. I like these cards because it blows up all their mana on turns that they can't go for it. It's a Fairy is mediocre. I don't need all 4 Phelias. Murktide Regent, you gotta win somehow. Squelcher doesn't stop Stifle from doing the job. Yeah, I'm gonna shave a Daze too, and just be pretty heavy here on interaction. Okay, let's do it. I like the Force and the Stifle. I don't like that my land comes into play tapped, but it's not so bad that I'm gonna mulligan it. Oh, wow, opponent has mulligan to 3 at this point. They're really looking for that turn 1 send before Stifle can even be online. This deck can easily beat Force of Will, but Stifle's a lot harder. But 3 cards in hand. I don't even think it's possible to beat Force of Will with 3 cards in hand. LED, LED. Okay, another Force. Dumping Brainstorm. I need lands, not cards. Okay, right now, if opponent can do something, I'm in trouble, but it looks like they can't. And I have found a land to continue my development. Now I have a million forces plus Stifle and or Hydroblast available. I feel good, but I'm not applying any pressure, and hope they don't draw out of it. The Petal can represent Veil, which I am going to force pitching Pyroblast or Quantum Riddler. What am I worried about? All right, I'm going to pitch Quantum Riddler. And that might have been what they were setting up for that Echo in hand. Yeah, this was the moment they were trying to play towards. Force pitching Pyroblast. Pyroblast is one of my answers to Vexing Squelcher, but I am simply not that interested. Not at this phase of the game. I'm going to attack, then Brainstorm, and then start Tamiyo ticking with Stifle up. Echo of Eons is the draw that they're looking for. Put back Mystic Sanctuary and probably Phelia. Plus, alright, I can crack this clue, keep the party going. If they do rip Echo right now, I actually don't have a good counter for it. Tundra, draw a card. Phelia, Founder. I'm actually going to use Tamiyo to bank Force of Will in my hand. With Force blue card plus Stifle, there's very little that could go wrong. End step Phelia, and go to my turn. Plus Tamiyo. Do I want to flicker that out? I think I do. It'll come back as a creature, but Phelia getting bigger matters to me. And I'll take a clue. And I have Brainstorm that can flip it again. I have enough Stifles that I think I would go after a fetch land, because a fetch land is also 2 looks at Echo of Eons. It's been 8 minutes since my opponent did anything in real life. Thank you to the magic of editing that you didn't have to sit through that. I'm probably getting BM'd, which is fine, because the way that I use the 10 minutes when somebody ropes me is by submitting a player report about them. So, easy game. And there it is. They did, in fact, rope me out and lose due to inactivity. Cool. 2-3 record with this. I will say, I mean, if you watch the video, you heard me say this already, but I do feel like there were a couple spots where we kind of ate shit in a way that was not normal. Like looking at 6 or 7 cards and not seeing any land among them. Though that problem is made worse when you're putting 4 Wastelands in a deck that wants 3 and 4 mana to function, which is why the original build of the deck didn't have the Wastelands and instead had a high basic land count. And in that deck, at least all of your lands were lands, and not some of them were spells masquerading as lands. Mystic Sanctuary also seems really optimistic in a deck with 6 lands that don't trigger it, and this land coming into play tapped is just pretty bad. The Phelia Blink stuff was great. Having Consigns and Stifles to interact with decks that don't normally care about typical interaction, that was great. I mean, that's meta dependent. If you happen to queue into Storm and Colorless Ramp, then your Consign to Memories look great. When you queue into Dimir Tempo, they look pretty bad. I'm also not sure that I like meeting the tempo decks in the tempo game, where the slower build of this deck gets ahead of those decks by just having unassailable mana, and somewhere around turn 4 or 5, you've killed all their creatures, and they have a bunch of Wastelands and Dazes that don't do anything anymore. But if you get in the mud with them and try to waste and daze them back, they're better at that than you, because their cards cost 1 and yours cost 2 and 3, or 5 in some cases. We also saw multiple times where if the stifle thing doesn't work out, even games where I was on the play and had the stifle, your opponent could just play a swamp instead of a fetch land, and then it's like, oh, well, I've wasted my turn. I do think this deck is asking a lot to go right in a shell that can be built to make sure nothing goes wrong. And that's a fundamental difference in just how you want to approach the metagame. I still love Phelia and Quantum Riddler. I don't love this particular take on it. I will leave that one there, though. To each their own. And to each their own. To each also, go check out Tolarian Community College's annual fundraiser drive that starts tomorrow. Get ready to be part of that. Claire, thank you for sending me this deck. Everyone, thanks for watching. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe. Check out the Patreon to support the channel. I'll see you next time.